would have Bengals, Steelers, Chiefs, Bills, Dolphins, and either the Chargers, Dolphins, Browns, or Dolphins, Jets. If I'm picking what would be the most exciting narrative, I'm picking Dolphins, Jets because you have divisional matchup. You got Aaron Rodgers, legacy game. Potentially, he's had a lot of playoff mishaps over his entire career.
Over his last entire career.
But this would be his most talented team he's had since probably about 3 years ago. In the NFC title game. So I would root for the Jets making the playoffs over these three. For the Chargers, I think if they make the playoffs, there's an opportunity that Brandon Staley stays, which Chargers fans don't want that, and really anybody wants that. Get them a real coach, please.
Yeah.
And then for the Browns, if I don't know, Deshaun Watson, how good will he be? Jets, Dolphins, Aaron Rodgers versus the Dolphins. Can he win one more playoff game before riding off into the sunset? That sounds like a better narrative for me.
This sounds hilarious because I could see the Jets kind of coming on at the end of the year. Aaron Rodgers has a lot of chemistry to figure out because Aaron Rodgers definitely has a tough time communicating with young receivers and receivers that are too young and out of touch with his generation, and he's made that very clear. So he has to build some chemistry early on, but then you start to gain momentum towards the end of the year. Sauce Gardner and those boys are on one, and then Sauce Gardner looks across the way. He's like, Jalen Ramsey, time I'm better than you. And Aaron Rodgers is like, can I really go out with the Jets in my first year losing to Tua? We have all of this momentum. And then Robert Saleh is like, I'm the man. I'm a better coach than Mike McDaniels. Sure, has he made the playoffs before? Yes. But does he have a way better roster? And did I help the Jets like win a lot of really close games last year? It's like I did, and I gave this team hope. And you know what? I'm Mr. Clean, Aaron Rodgers. This is a legacy moment for me right now with the New York Jets. I would take the upset, honestly.
There's always an upset.
Yeah.
Every year.
Honestly, with the Browns, too, I could see Myles Garrett just destroying Tua.
Yeah. Honestly, there's could be an upset in any of them because for the Browns, let's say we get 80%, 90% Deshaun Watson.
Yeah.
If we get 90% of Deshaun Watson with that defense, with that offensive line, with Nick Chubb, with all the receivers that they have, that could be trouble for them. And then the Chargers, that would be an interesting game as well. I do think the Dolphins would prevail, but Justin Herbert, can he, fight the demons that he had going up 27-0 against the Jags and losing? Can he overcome that and have a good playoff game? I think he can.
Yeah.
So I would pick the Jets of those three. Who would you pick?
I would pick. I want the Jets, but I would say the Browns. The Browns deserve it more. Deshaun Watson, when he's himself, is better than Aaron Rodgers. Myles Garrett, that defense is absolutely loaded. That wide receiver core is absolutely loaded. And you still have Nick Chubb, who's a perennial top 5 running back every single year, staying steady there. You have a coach of the year on that team. So, yeah, just the talent they have on defense and just Amari Cooper, you added Elijah Moore, and you could kind of get the best of the Jets in that trade if you do go up there and get the 7 seed. So I do think the Browns would get it out of any of those teams, and they would definitely give the Dolphins a lot of problems because not only do they have the firepower, they would have a mobile quarterback, and if they're in the playoffs, Deshaun Watson is himself, and then Myles Garrett versus Tua, it's like it's a tough matchup, young man.
Yeah, no doubt. So the way this playoff seeding would be, in yours it would be Dolphins Browns. I'd have Dolphins Jets, Bengals Steelers, Chiefs Bills. So very, very, very early playoff predictions.
Okay, I would go Browns upsetting the Dolphins, and then I would have Chiefs beating the Bills, and I would have Bengals over the Steelers, but that game worries me just with the performance that the Bengals had versus the Ravens last year when Lamar wasn't playing.
Yeah.
I would say that's definitely a one-possession game, but I still have to go Bengals just because I do believe Joe Burrow is better than Kenny Pickett, and Jamar Chase will be the difference.
Yeah. If it's Dolphins Jets, I know I've talked all this smoke, but I still think the Dolphins are going to win that game because I've seen Aaron Rodgers in the playoffs the last always, and I'm not going to bet him there. Bengals and Steelers. Bengals again. I think that's a classic 2000s matchup. Gritty game. Bengals prevail. And then Chiefs Bills. we just had Father's Day this past weekend, and Josh Allen wishing, happy Father's Day to Patrick Mahomes. That was very kind of him. He didn't have to do that. Pick the Chiefs. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
Patrick Mahomes is Josh Allen's daddy, and that's not going to change anytime soon. So yeah, we pretty much have the same thing. I'd have the Dolphins beating the Jets.
Okay. So with mine, I have the Browns as the 7 seed playing the Jaguars, and then I would have
Bengals, Chiefs, I think.
Yeah, Bengals, Chiefs in the second round. Ooh, that's a really tough second round. I would go Jaguars over the Browns, and then I have to go Bengals over Chiefs because I do think at home this time in Cincinnati, they'd get the benefit of the refs. You can't make a play as stupid as they made at the end of the last game with the guy pushing Patrick Mahomes out of bounds. If not, could have had a very different ending to that game and potentially gone into overtime. So have to go with the Bengals matching up with Bengals Jags in the AFC Championship.
Yeah, and the way I'd play it out, we'd have Jags and Chiefs, Dolphins, Bengals. I would pick the Chiefs to pick the Jaguars, and then Dolphins, Bengals. I'd still pick the Bengals. Gets third straight Chiefs, Bengals, and I do think the Bengals prevail in this game, making the Bengals the AFC champions.
I have the Bengals as the champions as well. As much as I love Trevor Lawrence, as much as I think he'll have a amazing year next year, he does still have some Peyton Manning in him, and he's definitely turnover prone, where I think Joe Burrow plays a much more methodical game like Tom Brady does, where it's a lot of reading the defense, shifting the defense around, changing coverages and changing matchups. So definitely think Joe Burrow would get the best of him and get back to the Super Bowl.
Yeah, we love it.